So in the previous section, we talked about the type of anatomical terminology. Now we're going to move into the serous membrane. To explain what is a serous membrane, I have these two diagrams, and let's go first to the one that is below. Here you see a heart, but if you see the heart here, yeah, it seems to be inside of a plastic bag. And I remind you, every time that, for example, you jump, your heart doesn't have to move, yeah, it doesn't have to be in contact with your lungs, so you have as a glue the connective tissue, but in addition to that, you have other structures and other mechanisms to allow to reduce friction between the different organs. And one of those ways to reduce friction is to use these membranes that are important, very important, that are called serous membranes. Okay, and so those serous membranes are surrounding the organ. Yeah, and I want you to think about that. Every time that the heart, in 1 second, the heart is going to be expanding, yeah, to pump blood, and then it will be shrinking later on. And every time that you have these contractions, you cannot be close, for example, to the lungs. Yeah, your heart cannot be close to the lungs because there will be friction between those two organs. So what you do to reduce friction, you have these surrounded membranes that help you to reduce friction. And in the schematic above that, I found that this was a great explanation of what is a serous membrane. So same thing that happened in your heart, you can happen when you have a balloon and you put air and not, so the balloon is not completely inflated, or you put water. So what is happening is that when you put your hand inside of the balloon, you're going to have three different sections. One section that it will be the outer balloon wall, yeah, that it will be far from your hand. You will not be in contact with that one. You will have later air, and this is comparable with the serous cavity. And finally, in the inside, you will have the inner balloon wall, that it will be comparable to the visceral serosa. Okay, so now let's go to the heart. So in the heart, we have the same structures. Here you will have inside, in the inner region, in the inner, you have the visceral. In this case, it's called pericardium. So peri, that surrounds, and cardium, the heart. You're going to have here the a space where you can find a fluid, yeah, that is called the serous fluid. And outside of that, you will have the pericardium, yeah, so a membrane that is outside, that surround that is close to the body cavity and far from the organ. Okay, so now let's recap all the things that I told you. Let me delete this for a second, and now let's continue. So I just told you that serous membranes are thin and double layer membranes, both. I explained the heart and also the balloon. And in those cases, you saw that there is a purple and yellow membrane that I told you. And these serous membranes cover the organs, wherein the thoracic and abdominal cavities. And there are two types of membranes that I will tell you in a second. Here there are the visceral layer, that is the inner membrane, and the parietal layer, that is the outer membrane. And remember, the serous membrane also line the walls of the thorax and the abdomen, and I will show you that in a second. And what is the main function of the serous membrane? Is the reduction of friction. So you remember the example that I gave you with the heart and the lungs, that they cannot be in contact. Yeah, if not, they will be damaging each other. So this is why you have the serous membrane that reduce the tension, the friction between different organs. Now we're going to talk about the different serous membranes. And in the thorax, you have two serous membranes. Yeah, the first one here is the heart, and it's called, that's the one that surrounds the heart, that is called pericardium. So you can see it here. And as we said before, you have two layers, the parietal pericardium and also the visceral pericardium. Okay, pretty easy. Now you have another one. Let's put this one with this color. That is the pleura. That is the one for the lungs. And here you can see, and it's the same structure, independent, that is the lung, and the other one is the heart. Yeah, all of them have the same structure. Parietal, the outer membrane, parietal pleura, the inner one, that is the visceral pleura, and they are double layers. Yeah, that inside of that they have the serous fluid. So here we have again another diagram, but if you remember, we just talked about the different planes. Here you have a transverse plane to study this. So it goes here. So now we have here the anterior part, and here they will be the posterior, it will be here. And here you see the heart. So here is the heart. Perfect. But surrounding that, you have this, and let me put it here with this. You will have the pericardial cavity. So here is all this structure that it will be the pericardial cavity. Okay, so and the same thing happened with the right and the left lung. So let me put it here. So here they show again another cavities that if you see the organs are relatively close, so to prevent any problem, here you have the left lung. I'm highlighting that. The friction can be solved just with this simple structure that is this serous membrane. Okay, so I told you here again there is two membranes in the serous membrane, the thoracic cavity. Now we're going to go into the last one that is located in the abdominal cavity. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the last serous membrane, that this one is located in the abdominal cavity. Okay, so remember there is three serous membrane, one in the pleura, in the lungs, the other one in the heart, that is the pericardium, and here you have the peritoneum, sorry. And this one is very interesting because while the other ones were covering only one organ, this one is covering completely several organs and partially other several organs. Okay, so completely is covering organs like the stomach, like the liver, spleen, and different sections of the intestines. Yeah, and also is covering partially organs like the kidneys, ureters, and also the suprarenal glands. Okay, so just very quick, the peritoneum covers many abdominal organs. It's different from the pleura and the pericardium that are only covering one organ. And some of them are covered completely and some of them are covering only partial. And this retroperitoneal is a classification of some organs because they are not surrounded completely by the peritoneum, but rather by the posterior of this membrane. So we are done for today with all the information that we were supposed to cover. If you remember, we start talking about the anatomical terminology. Yeah, that there are different types, and we talk about different body positions. We talk about different plane and sections. We talk about regional names, and we talk also of all the internal organs. And you can find more information related to that in your textbook. In addition, in the next section, we move to the serous membrane. And in the serous membrane, if you remember, I give you a very quick information about these membranes that are surrounding the organs. Yeah, and I told you there were three, and all of those three they have a similar structure that they have a here in purple a perial or outer membrane, and inside inner or visceral membrane. I hope that you enjoyed this class. If you have any question, just let me know. Bye.